Boothferry Park was originally planned in 1929 and work began on the site from 1932 based near the Humber estuary. Financial difficulties severely hampered this development, with the playing area and part of the terracing appearing over the following 12 months before the work and progress on the ground was stopped. A proposal in 1939 for a sports stadium on the site was the catalyst for further development, as even though this threw up doubt for the original stadium plans, no suitable financial offer for the land was forthcoming, and instead the Hull City Board inquired, and after it were granted, a loan sum of £6,600 was given to Hull City. This meant that the new ground would be ready for the opening of the 1941 season. However, the onset of the Second World War stopped plans for Boothferry Park to be opened. During the Second World War, the Home Guard used Boothferry Park as its base, and also it was a place where tanks were repaired during the war. Boothferry Park was finally opened in August 1946, 17 years after its initial proposal, but it only had planning permission for one stand along the west side with an upper cost limit of £17,000. The ground was still not fully completed, and it became a race against time to make the stadium finally ready for its opening match against Lincoln City. 22,000 people gathered to watch the opening ceremony performed by the city's Lord Mayor. The teams were led out on the pitch by Sergeant Tommy Brooke, riding a white horse. Sergeant Brooke was a detective and mounted officer in the Hull Police and was a veteran of the First World War and the Battle of the Somme. In February of 1949, terrace embankments were raised, and in 1951 the famous Boothferry Halt was opened. The ground now had its own railway station, its first use being a fixture against Everton when 6 trains ran the football service between Paragon Station, Hull Central Railway Station and Boothferry Park. At the same time, work proceeded on covering the North Stand. After the North Terrace was covered, the East Terrace was the next part of the ground to be covered, although this was a temporary structure. This temporary structure was never replaced and stood throughout the years of the ground. The popular East Terrace became known as the Kempton Stand after Kempton Road, after which floodlights were installed at Boothferry Park. 2 gantries housing 96 lamps were built, one on the west and one on the opposite side of the east following a licence being granted. Although this lighting system was the envy of many clubs, advancements in stadium lighting came rapidly and the system soon needed replacement. A 6-pylon system replaced the old gantries in 1963. The new lights were used for the first time in 1964, using 4 of the 6 available in an evening match against Barnsley, which ended in a 7-0 win for Hull City. In 1965, a new South Stand was built at Boothferry Park, and then on the 16th of February 1972, Boothferry Park hosted a full international game between Northern Ireland and Spain, with the game finishing 1-1. In the 1980s, financial constraints meant that Hull City allowed Quick Save and Iceland supermarkets to embed themselves under the stadium structure, which is actually quite similar to Burnden Park. If you watch that video, they had a similar situation where a supermarket was built on this part of the ground. In January 1990, the Taylor Report required all clubs in the top 2 divisions of English football to have an all-seater stadium by August 1994. Hull were relegated in the 2nd division by this stage, but their relegation at the end of the 1990-1991 season meant that the club was not covered by these requirements. Attendances fell throughout the 1990s as Hull suffered a further relegation in 1996, and financial problems almost put the club out of business, with strained finances meaning that Boothferry Park was not properly maintained and fell into increasing disrepair. By 1998, however, a move to an all-seater stadium elsewhere was in the pipeline, and Hull left Boothferry Park in December 2002 after 56 years to play at the new Kingston Communications Stadium. The final match to be staged at Boothferry Park saw Hull City lose 1-0 against Darlington in December 2002 in front of a sold-out crowd. The goal was scored by Darlington's Simon Betts. It would be his only goal in Darlington colours. Along with football, Boothferry Park also hosted rugby league matches. It hosted 5 internationals from 1980 to 1983. They all featured either England or Great Britain against the likes of France, Australia and Wales. And also Hull FC and Hull Kingston Rovers played 5 matches at Boothferry Park between 1953 to 1985. Demolition of the ground eventually started on the 10th of January 2008, over 5 years after the final game was played there, and this was completed in March of that year. The North Stand and the terracing on the South and East Stands were eventually demolished in January 2010 after years of vandalism and arson attacks. Humberside Fire and Rescue Service had to be called out nearly 100 times during 2009 to deal with the situation. The 6 floodlights that had dominated the West Hull skyline were finally dismantled in early 2011. The highest attendance before the new stand was built at Boothferry Park was 40,179 people in 1948 when Hull City played against Middlesbrough in the FA Cup. In 1949, the official ground record was set when 55,119 people witnessed the visit of Manchester United. The highest scoring match at Boothferry Park came in March 1950 when Hull City played Nuneaton Borough in a friendly. The score ended 8-6 to Hull City, with the score being 1-0 to Nuneaton Borough at half-time. Boothferry Park also had a couple of nicknames. The stadium became affectionately known by supporters of Hull City as Fair Ark in the latter days, due to the lack of finances for maintenance, which meant that only the letters illuminated on the large Boothferry Park read Fair Ark on the signage. Before this, it had been known as Boothferry Park when one of the illuminated O's fell off. It was also simply known as BP. So that is my video tonight on Boothferry Park, the former home ground of Hull City between 1946 to 2002. Looking at the pictures of the ground, it certainly looked dated. It looked very old, especially when there was a lot of modern stadia around at the time. It's a very interesting stadium as well, very similar to Burnden Park, where you had the supermarket building onto part of the ground. Very interesting there, when you've got Iceland and Quicksave on your stadium. But besides that, it's a ground that's been requested by a lot of people, actually. A lot of people have wanted to see Boothferry Park on the channel, and tonight's the night I'm going to do the video, and I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, let me know in the comment section below. Let me know your memories of Boothferry Park, and let me know what you thought of the video overall. So this has been History of Football. Thanks for tuning in. I probably won't be doing many more World Cup reviews. If you were a subscriber that watched the World Cup reviews, reason being is that views have been declining or are quite low. It's very hard to compete with a lot of other channels out there when they can actually show highlights of matches, and they've got better technology and better equipment to do more higher class videos than what I can do. So it's very hard to gain views and subscribers when you're doing very low budget World Cup reviews. So I'm probably going to stop doing the reviews, except for when England play. I'll do some reviews on that. I'll definitely be reviewing the match on Sunday between England and Senegal, but I think for the rest of the World Cup videos, I'll probably give it a miss and just stick to what I've been doing for the last couple of months, which is old football teams and old football grounds. I think that's something that's been very popular on the channel, and I'll continue to do that. So thanks to everyone that's subscribed to the channel recently, supported me from the beginning. It's much appreciated. But this has been History of Football, and I'll catch us all later in the next one. Alright, tatty bye for now.